find it in the entryway table. Or if you are participating via Zoom, individuals will need to raise their hand in the Zoom app. If you are accessing the meeting by phone, press star 9. At the time allowed, each speaker is
a
2
point of
minutes
order.
to the total allowed,
I have a
1
point of
hour.
order.
Speaking time should not.
Point of order. I got it. Okay, never mind. It cleared up. They couldn't hear you online. They can now. Never mind. Sorry.
Okay. The time allowed to each speaker is 2 minutes. The total time allowed is 1 hour. Speaking time should not be transferred from one person to another. There is also no substitution of speakers. We alternate between a Zoom comment and an in-person comment. The public comment period is a safe space where diverse viewpoints may be expressed civilly without interruption or intimidation. Please listen attentively to each speaker, comment, and respect their time as it were your own. Be open to other points of view if one is offered. Due to the Brown Act, board members cannot discuss items that are not on the agenda and do not usually respond to items presented in public comments. The items listed on the closed session agenda tonight are student discipline, conference with legal counsel, conference with anticipated litigation, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, government code section 54956.9, public employee discipline, dismissal, release complaint. 5, conference with labor negotiators and that's it. So is there any public comment?
Yes, Mark Mitchell.
Wanting to address the resolution that was made by the board after the study session a couple of weeks ago. It's caused a lot of concern amongst community and employees. And there was a social media post by a trustee last week that indicated, and I quote, "The board approved a resolution 2 Fridays ago after a detailed closed session understanding what the shift in the budget would look like at all levels." And what I'd like to say is that on behalf of the 1,500 members of the United Teachers of Richmond, we humbly ask that you conduct your business in open session. There are very limited exceptions to the requirement that you conduct your business in open session. And those exceptions are personnel. That was not a personnel matter. Pending litigation. That was not pending litigation. Labor negotiations. Those are over. Real estate negotiations. That was not the issue. And salaries and compensation. That was not the issue. You appeared to have been discussing budget and a preview of what was later rolled out in public session. We want to see your deliberation. We want to see your reaction to the presentations of the staff. And we want to see the debate and thought that goes into the decisions that you make. If you're having these matters presented to you in closed session and you're not doing it in front of the public, we don't know how to gauge what your values are and how you're acting on them as you make decisions. We really want to ask that those board members of good conscience, if you feel that something is happening in closed session that doesn't fall under one of these very narrow exceptions to the open meeting rule, that you ask staff to stop the conversation and that you move it onto an appropriate agenda item in open session. We want our board to be open and democratic, and I think our West County students, educators, and families deserve nothing less. Thank you.
That concludes public comment.
Thank you to all who made public comment. We are now adjourning to closed session at 5:09, and we will return to open session at 6:30. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the open session of the January 21st, 2026 regularly scheduled board meeting of the West Contra Costa Unified School District. This meeting is called to order at 7 p.m. Para acceder a la traducción en Zoom, haga clic en el icono del globo en la parte inferior a la pantalla. Si se encuentra en Dijon y necesitan audífonos para traducción, pueden recogerlos en la esquina trasera del auditorio. La Junta Directiva está, oh. The public comment period is safe space where diverse viewpoints may be expressed civilly without interruption or intimidation. Please listen attentively to each speaker's comments and respect their time as if it were your own. Be open to another point of view and if one is offered. Due to the Brown Act, board members cannot discuss items that are not on the agenda and do not usually respond to items in public comment. The items listed on the, ugh, hold on, I think I lost. Please prepare now for public comment. If you are here in the auditorium and you would like to make public comment, please fill out and submit a WCC USD public comment card. You can find them on the table in the entryway. If you are participating via Zoom, please raise your hand in the Zoom app prior to the beginning of the item on the agenda. If participating by phone, please press *9. After your comment card has been turned in, the cards are placed in order received, and we will call on speakers one at a time, alternating between a public comment here in Dijon and one on Zoom. Public comments generally last for 1 hour. The time allotted to each speaker is 2 minutes. In the meantime, we are moving on to the rest of our opening procedures. Pledge of Allegiance. If you are willing and able to rise, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Land and Labor Acknowledgement.
Land acknowledgement. We recognize that we are presently on the lands of the Chochenyo, Muwekma, Karka, and Ohlone peoples and acknowledge them as the first inhabitants of the land we currently occupy. Labor and body recognition acknowledgement. I acknowledge that the burden of the environmental exploitation and systemic injustice falls upon the labor of Black and Brown bodies in the building of this country and its institutions. I remember that Black and Brown people were born and died working this land against their will for generations. I acknowledge the continued contribution of the labor of survivors over the centuries to today, of all immigrant labor, including voluntary, involuntary, trafficked, forced, and undocumented peoples in the building of what we refer as the United States. Author, Dr. Rogers Ard.
Item 4, West Contra Costa Unified School District Board Anti-Racism Statement. The governing board is committed to the work of anti-racism, the conscious and active effort to identify, challenge, and correct racial inequities is the systems and institutions within our schools and community. Racism, explicit or implicit, stands in direct conflict to the fundamental principles of district education. To carry district education into the future, we recognize that we must continually renew and reflect on the roots of racism and develop new ideas to meet the times. Unjust ideas and policies and racial inequity they produce have shaped us, our schools, and society. The board strives to uncover unconscious biases and practices anti-racism as individuals and as board members. We challenge ourselves to persist through the discomfort necessary for growth and learning, to deepen our listening and our examination of racism and oppression, and to develop strong understandings of how our personal experiences and feelings fit into the larger picture of continual oppression. Each member of our governing board individually and collectively is responsible for creating and nurturing an anti-racism learning environment where each student, staff member, and community partner is respected and valued member of the district community. The governing board is uniquely positioned and it is our responsibility to identify and dismantle racist ideas and inequitable policies in ourselves and across the district. Therefore, we commit to supporting the anti-racist policies, programs, and practices for our children's education and well-being while building strong and inclusive school communities. The board commits to holding each board member accountable towards these goals and moving the work of anti-racism forward. We also commit to holding West Contra Costa Unified School District students and community to living these standards and anti-racism in our schools. Board approved on March 20th, 2024. Now we're moving on to item 5, roll call. Superintendent Carney, would you please take roll call?
Yes, thank you. Student trustee Miles,
Good evening, present.
student trustee Han,
Good evening, present.
trustee Reckler,
Good evening, present.
trustee Smith Folds,
Good evening, everyone. Present.
trustee Hernandez,
Buenas noches a todos. Presente.
clerk Gonzalez Hoy,
Good evening, present.
and board president Iana.
Gracias por acompañarnos esta noche presente. Item 6, report of ratification of closed session. Superintendent Cotton, are there any report outs from closed session?
In closed session, we received. There is no report about closed session.
Thank you. Item 7, West Contra Costa public comment. Members of the public are invited to speak to the board on any matter within the subject matter jurisdiction of the West Contra Costa Unified School District, but not on tonight's agenda. Public comment will last approximately 1 hour. The time allotted to each speaker is 2 minutes. Should additional speakers remain at the conclusion of 1 hour, public comment may be extended. The time allotted per speaker after the first hour is generally 1 minute. Individuals wishing to speak, please submit a WCCUSD public comment card, or if participation via Zoom, individuals will need to raise their hand in the Zoom app prior to the beginning of the item on the agenda. If you are calling in by phone, press star 9. Speaking time should not be transferred from one person to another. There is no substitution of speakers. Speakers can also make public comment again for each discussion and action item on the agenda after staff presentation. The public will have 10 minutes per item and 1 minute per speaker. The time protocols recited above apply. The public comment period is a safe space where diverse viewpoints may be expressed in civil manner without interruptions of intimidation. Please listen attentively to each speaker's comment and respect their time at the podium as if it were your own. Be open to different viewpoints if one is offered. Due to the Brown Act, board members cannot discuss items that are not on the agenda and do not usually respond to items presented in public comment. Is there any public comment?
Yes. First public comment is Don Gosney.
Good evening. Just in case you're wondering, I got the message you all sent. The one where it's been made clear that I'm persona non grata in this room and any other place where the board and the senior staff meet. Being pig-headed, though, I don't see myself going away. I don't want to be the thorn in your shoe, but that's what's been left for me. As you very well know, my 27 years with the bond program has made me the one person that knows more about the bond program than anyone else. It also makes me the authority on the oversight of the bond program. I'm also sure that you're aware that you have nearly $650 million in bond program projects that need oversight. When it comes to the public, those people that the district asked to tax themselves for 40 years to pay for these projects, they're not getting the oversight they're entitled to. Without getting into the details that you all should be asking about, the financial reports or the lack of financial reports is the 900-pound gorilla in the room. The oversight body that this board has put in place doesn't really understand why these reports even exist and why they should focus their attention on the contents. At a recent CBOC meeting, they asked what they meant, but rather than ask or listen to the one person who helped create and fine-tune them, they went to someone with considerably less experience with them. And when I started to explain why these were so important, I was told that I was out of time. Because of the lack of staff that this board should put in place, the oversight body has not been receiving the reports in a timely manner, and sometimes the board has arranged for no discussion of these reports. For that matter, does the board really know about these reports and how to interpret the data? Meetings are canceled, and there's a greater trouble with getting quorums, and little process is being made to provide the public with the data they need and deserve. The board and the public no longer receive reports from the CBOC. You've appointed good and decent people to the CBOC, but they have so very little experience. It's funny that at last week's Lake Elementary grand opening, I learned more about Lake than I had from the many presentations and site visits. The public deserves more and better oversight than what the district is providing. What are you going to do to remedy this? What are you doing to ask questions about what is Don talking about? Because it certainly hasn't happened yet.
Next public comment is Amelia. Please unmute yourself. Our next public comment is Maisha Harris Gash. Please unmute yourself.
Good evening, everyone. And I want to say hi to my UTR people who are in the room. Hopefully, over the weekend, you got some rest, relaxation, and you're a tad bit rejuvenated. I just came on tonight to say thank you to all of those involved in Mr. Henderson, our construction tech teacher, getting those 2,000-pound plus, whatever kind of saws they're called. They are now in the room or in the shop, and our students are able to use them. Mr. Henderson is very pleased. Also, by putting up those two power drill saw doohickeys. They got out of the space of another table saw that Mr. Henderson has in his shop. So now the students can also use that that space. So I did a little bit of fussing. So I also want to come back on and say, to all the individuals involved in making it happen, really for our students. I just want to say thank you. And I come on down to Mr. Henderson's shop and see what the kids are doing and see what they're making so you can see why those two big, heavy pieces of equipment were really needed for our students. So with that being said, everybody have a wonderfully blessed evening. Thank you.
Next public comment is Marie Aniam.
Thank you for installing the safety screen in the TK yard, sending the emergency supply kits, and quickly removing the gang tagging from the front gate and sidewalk. Since then, we've had 3 more taggings, and there currently is a 6 by 8 foot tall giant tagging on the fence. Now, this morning, maintenance was there trying to figure out how to remove it. If it becomes 6 by 8 feet, that means they are sending a message to Lydia and her peers at the school. I've sent numerous emails asking, what is the plan to help Stage? We are repeatedly being tagged. That is I am nervous for the staff and students. Malik, please wait, okay?
Can I have a truck?
The district cannot control the activity in the neighborhood, but what we can control are safety measures that are in place. We need to protect this. The students are calling Stage home. Us parents send our kids there every day. I'm still waiting for an email response about the suspected typo in the Williams Quarterly Report from the October 22nd meeting. Our executive leadership should be open to feedback. I'm also still waiting for the SPED Transportation Handbook and hope that soon cameras and a GPS will be added to the buses. I know you don't like my questions. I know you seem like I'm bothering you. But as a parent and also a professional in this district, I'm asking for support of Stage. This is my 10th speech. I will continue advocating for my kids and Stage and SPED. I will be back. Thank you.
Next public comment is Jane Kitchener. Please unmute yourself.
Good evening, board and parents. I am more than a decade teacher in the district. First, a big thank you to all board members who have supported UTR students, communities, and families during the strike. Please vote to ratify the TA that was offered to UTR and Teamsters. We are over 12 billion over our budget, 12 billion plus, and the TAs haven't even been ratified. This overage has had nothing to do with the TAs, UTR, or Teamsters. It has to do with professional services and consultants, sub-services, and travel and conferences, not for the teachers, by the way. I find it interesting that TAs were offered, but the vote to ratify them has been stalled until some meeting where the district will possibly come out with another announcement of how dire our budget is. This has been going on for at least 2 decades. This has to stop. I was told once that insanity is doing the same thing or something similar over and over and expecting a different outcome. Over 2 decades now with these budget issues. It is time to stop the insanity. It is time to take a different approach. We are lucky that we can learn from Richard Barrera and the San Diego Unified School District what to do and how to do things differently. Talk to Richard Barrera and learn how to create a different budget, a budget that prioritizes students, families, and teachers. We will be willing to learn from someone who has helped change in another district. We can't wait. Figure it out. Please figure it out.
Next public comment is Kim Chamberlain.
Good evening. I have IFPTE Local 21 SSA Chapter President. I represent your office managers, cook managers, your classified coordinators, your technology. I also do the coordinators, maintenance people. We work really hard for this school district. I represent business people, people that have to help crunch the numbers and figure out where we're going to buy toilet paper, coordinators, fiscal analysts, people that have lives, students, and families. Challenges that are being met throughout our district. We are going to be making some decisions over the next couple of weeks in this district that are going to affect our future. As we make these decisions and make cuts and challenges, we also have to figure those families are going to take their children and go elsewhere if we cut their positions. Please do what we have to do. Please make wise decisions on how we're going to move forward in our future, because every decision makes a challenge for a family and a student. We want these children to have that person at their school site that they want to come to school for. They may not have anything else out there, but that person at that school site. Please, as you guys are making these decisions, make wise ones for our children. Make sure that person is there for them to come to school so they feel safe and they feel wanted and they want to be educated so they can someday come back and do the same thing for other children, maybe even one of yours. Thank you.
Next public comment is Christina Kuntz. Please unmute yourself.
Thank you. We are at a time in history where people are actively stopping in our belief that public education could be powerful for our youth. I am a child of public education. I grew up in this district, and I am a strong believer in us. And echoing Kim's statement is absolutely correct. Every time I advocate for our schools in our community, the response I get is, this is why I pulled my child out of public school. I have seen the district make poor decisions, the district leadership, and we really do need to reprioritize how to make long-term plans and stop trying to be firefighters again. This needs to be 40, 50-year out plans, really prioritizing our community, which includes our teachers and our employees. We also have children in our district, and we fight really hard to stay in our communities. It is no accident that this happened, and we understand that you are in a difficult position with trying to work with our budget. But you also have to identify that if we have fought so hard to keep our teachers through this strike, and you actively gut classrooms schools, begin to gut that staff, it does send a huge message to the community and the parents and the families. And you have to identify that that message may have families consider to pull their children out of our district. We need to be in a position where we are thinking about keeping them. We need to stop fighting each other about which schools should stay open. We need to really prioritize our community that includes everyone that works here. Thank you. Please ratify our agreement for UTR. And thank you again, board, for the members who have been supporting.
Next public comment is Mariana Cabarguin.
Is it working? Okay. I want to begin by thanking Trustee Hernandez, Trustee Inyana, and Trustee Gonzalez Hoy for consistently putting our students first. I'm an SLP here at the district, but tonight I'm here as a parent of 2 students at Fairmont Elementary. After the strike ended, a lot of parents I talked to felt a great sense of relief. People were glad to see the district support educators because honestly, many of us were scared of losing the teachers we loved. My son has a new teacher this year at Fairmont, and he absolutely adores her. She's brand new to the school, and the whole Fairmont community was so happy to welcome her. As a parent, it's unsettling to go into each year wondering if my child's teacher will still be there or if they're going to be laid off. Every student deserves a consistent, caring teacher, and that stability matters. Right now, this district is developing a reputation for constant turnover. And as a parent, that's really hard to see. I don't want that to be the story of our schools. I ask that tonight that you ratify the TA and figure out a budget that creates a school district that people want to come to. Thank you for your time.
Next public comment is Jeffrey Bean. Please unmute yourself.
Good evening, Jeffrey Bean here. I teach 4th and 5th grade at Shannon Elementary in Pinole. As the board moves forward and hopefully ratifies our contract tonight, I want to thank the superintendent for holding a informational session on the budget last week. A couple things I want to note about that. Number one, I hope the board and district leadership considers the fact that there still is a teacher shortage. And if anyone is laid off or given a layoff notice this spring, that will make it harder for our district to find staff next fall. I know that there are legal requirements for certain things. However, you know, and I know, all of us know that in reality, nobody will probably actually have to be laid off because we'll have a shortage due to attrition and retirements, etc. In the fall. So I hope you take that into consideration. Also, please try to keep cuts away from students. There are things that we can do without. We can do with less paper. We can do with fewer subscriptions to online platforms. But students can't do well with fewer teachers or with classrooms that are overcrowded or with staff that they know and love and care about who are moved to other schools or laid off. I think that you should also consider the fact that some of these decisions could actually make the budget crisis worse, because when students are displaced from their school because classrooms are cut, or when important staff who care about students leave, that will result in students leaving as well and going to charter schools or other options. So please try to keep cuts away from the people who work with students. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Next public comment is Tracy Rosenberg.
Hi everyone, and good evening. My name is Tracy Rosenberg, and I'm speaking on behalf of Common Frequency. Common Frequency is an organization that assists community and student radio stations. I'm commenting here tonight because I live locally in the broadcast area of El Cerrito High's KECG, and I'm aware that KECG has been off the air for almost a year. According to the FCC rules, the FCC automatically cancels the license for any broadcast station that is off the air for a year. In December, Common Frequency wrote a letter to the school board offering help in getting KECG back on the air and, if needed, could help to temporarily run the station until the school can coordinate a permanent plan. This could be accomplished on a cost-free basis from Common Frequency. Let me say that again, cost-free. I think there are lots of people in the area that see KECG as a valuable learning tool for the students, but also as an asset to the neighborhood and a public resource that is worth saving. So I'm coming tonight to encourage the board to take a look at this matter and take action to preserve this student station. Thanks.
Next public comment is Shelley Wharton. Please unmute yourself.
Good evening. My name is Miss Wharton. I'm an English teacher at Richmond High in the Internationals Academy, and I'm here along with many others to support the ratifying of our TA agreement. Sorry, that's our TA. Thank you. It's been a long day. And specifically, I want to thank Guadalupe, Cynthia, and Demetrio for your support so far. We've fought really hard and we deserve action now. So it'd be really great if we could ratify it as soon as possible. Also, as others have said, I'm hoping that you'll think of students when you're making cuts soon. And specifically at Richmond High, we're hearing we might go to a 6-period schedule, which means we will lose many amazing elective teachers. And this just can't happen, especially for my students. They really deserve electives. All students deserve electives, but mine often only get an option for one. And so they deserve some choice in that one. Yeah, so just please move forward with care and thank you. Have a good evening.
Next public comment is Maxine Jimenez.
Good evening. My name is Maxine Jimenez, and this is my 4th year teaching in this district at Lincoln Elementary, where I teach both 5th and 6th grade. I started working at Lincoln while finishing my teaching credential as an after-school program staff member. I connected deeply with our students because, like many of them, I am an immigrant. My own teachers didn't just teach me academics. They taught me how to navigate life in a new country. That experience is why I chose to stay in this school district. There was a vacancy when I applied. In fact, there were many vacancies, just like in many other schools. In my 4 years in this district, I have never had a permanently credentialed grade level partner. Year after year, I've watched educators, support staff, and long-term subs step in and make do, trying their best to provide stability for students who deserve consistency. Our students deserve more. Teachers should not have to leave this district or choose to work in another school district to find stable working conditions. Students in Richmond deserve the best education we can provide, and that starts with retaining qualified, credentialed teachers. Black, brown, and immigrant students deserve permanent credentialed teachers. Approving this tentative agreement is a step toward that stability. I urge you to ratify the TA tonight. Thank you.
Next public comment is Haley Kay. Please unmute yourself.
Good morning, or wow, good evening, board members, superintendents, and all the lovely people that I see in red. My name is Haley Kay. I'm a proud UTR educator at Nystrom, and I'm speaking tonight to ask you to approve the TA and to make it clear that our district will not balance its budget at the expense of students. This agreement is about more than compensation. It's about creating stability in our schools, stability that allows students to learn, educators to remain in the district, and campuses to function as healthy communities. Passing the tentative agreement is a necessary step toward maintaining fully staffed schools and honoring the people who support students every day. We are once again hearing language about financial constraints and difficult trade-offs, but students have already faced the consequences of years of underinvestment. Cutting school supplies, maximizing class sizes, consolidating schools, or eliminating positions that provide student services will only deepen inequities and disrupt learning. These proposals directly contradict the district's stated commitments to equity, academic success, and supporting the whole child. You cannot achieve those goals while removing the very resources that make them possible. Educators are united in our belief that continued investment is what leads to strong, consistent, and effective schools. Students thrive when they are supported by qualified, dedicated, and valued adults, and when their schools are equipped to meet their needs. Tonight, we urge you to choose a path that prioritizes students and long-term stability. Vote yes on the tentative agreement and reject cuts that reduce opportunities for our students. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Next public comment is Bill H.
Good evening, Madam President, staff, and our UTR members listening, members, community here. I'm here again, and I'm here seeing and hearing the same things again. Demetrio, I really appreciate some of the media posts that I've been reading from you. It really brings home the fact that we do have board members who are seeing the big picture. Unfortunately, I'm also seeing in the media discussions of cutting members of classified staff, cutting members of certificated staff. As someone who started working as a school teacher in 2014 here in this district, I am so amazed by the students and the people in this community. I love it. I'm not from here per se. I had family who grew up in El Cerrito, but I grew up mostly in Sacramento. But I still love this community. And so to hear about these cuts is really disappointing. The 26-27 proposed budget by the governor is talking about increasing funding by amounts that we have not seen, record per pupil amounts of funding for students, for teachers, for education, $149 billion in the proposed budget for TK and 12 and community schools. So why are we talking about cutting the people who are instrumental in making this place run? Why would we do that? Why would that be a discussion of a new interim CBO? It's not acceptable. It's totally inappropriate. It's mind-boggling. It's extremely disappointing. I hope that you guys make the right call past the TA. Thank you.
Next public comment, Sarah Creeley.
Hello. My name's Sarah Creeley, and I started teaching in 1989. I've been a teacher for this district since 1992, and that's 34 years. I love teaching. I've been at my school for 30 years at Hannah Ranch in Hercules, teaching second grade, and I love being a teacher. My children graduated from school years ago. My son in 2013, no, son graduated from De Anza in 2011, and my daughter graduated from Hercules High in 2013. And when they went to school, they had all their teachers. And it just saddens me to look at what the kids today are going through, not having math teachers, not having science teachers, having kids. I had a senior ask me when I was volunteering with orientation for the beginning of the school year, do you guys have books? It's like, yes, of course we have books. Apparently a lot of kids are being just taught like on Chromebooks all day long. And it's just surprising to me and sad. And so I just feel that it's really important that the kids today have the same opportunities that my children had. And it disappoints me that it feels like they don't. That doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel fair. And I think it's really important. There's a lot of cruelty right now in our nation. There's so much cruelty toward people. And I think it's really important to be kind to each other, to be kind to us, the teachers, and treat us with respect and love because we deserve it. And we should be valued. And I really thank those board members who voted yes to ratify the contract tentative agreement. I hope that it will pass today. And I hope that moving forward, you will treat us with the kindness that we deserve, because that's what we give to the children that we work with, and especially those children with special needs. They deserve it. Thank you.
Next public comment is Clara Ackerman.
Hi, I'm Clara. I'm a speech therapist with the preschool program. I want to say similar things to what others have said. Please ratify our agreement. Thanks to those members that have supported us. And it's really important that we don't just make so many cuts that everything we won in the contract becomes irrelevant. If we do that, we're just going to be back at square one with teachers leaving the district, families going to charter schools, children receiving poor services. I mean, do we want this vision of a district where special needs children are in a class with a virtual teacher and paras that swap in and out from agencies? Do we want, and their speech therapist is virtual and their OT therapist is on leave and they haven't replaced them? I mean, that's how it actually was at Perry's, a year ago. But these are the kind of things we see in our district if we continue to not fund the district appropriately to actually staff the district. Thank you.
Next public comment, Browning Evans, please.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Bronwyn Evans, and I'm a teacher at Murphy Elementary. I'm here tonight to urge the board to ratify both the UTR and Teamsters agreements. The fact that it's taken so long for the agreements to be put on the board agenda is frankly appalling. We've already demonstrated our willingness to fight in solidarity with one another, and we will continue to fight until we get what our families, teachers, and staff deserve. Ratifying this agreement will not fix everything, certainly not all of the systemic issues in place, but it's a step in the right direction. It's a way to ensure that we retain effective, caring educators who already pour so much of their time, energy, and personal funds into their careers. So enough is enough. We know the money is there. And one thing we do not need is to cut our educators and staff's positions. We're done waiting. Figure it out. Thank you.
Next public comment, Betsy Basher.
Good evening, trustees, and thank you for your work on behalf of public schools. I am a community member, retired teacher, and the editor of a local news website. I observed what was happening during the teacher strike and the negotiations with the parents, students, and the community and teachers. And it was intense, it was important. And I do hope that trust will be honored to not follow through on an agreement that was reached that stopped the strike. Seems to me very sad. I appreciated that Dr. Cotton did a presentation about possible cuts that she was proposing as a result of the agreement. My concern was that it was all about cuts and there was nothing about revenue. So I wanted to talk about trust and communication. I understand that the parcel tax needs to be renewed. Someone told me that it would be either on the June or the November 2026 ballot. Someone told me that it was a survey was authorized at the end of August and was supposed to come back in front of the public in October. Yet there's never been any discussion or information about this parcel tax. In the past, the parcel tax could not cover teacher salaries, but I think that things are changing. We may be in a time where people realize that the number one factor affecting student success is the teacher, number two being principals. And so perhaps the parcel tax could approach things differently. Maybe it could be a larger parcel tax. Maybe it could be used for teacher salaries. So please bring out more information about this possibility and other.
Could the next three people line up at the podium, please? Andrea Livenhouse, Aaron Callentine, and Yoon Sang.
Good evening, everyone. By the way, Yuzing went home, so just so you know. Good evening, I'm Andrea Livinghouse, speech language pathologist and executive board member of UTR. I want to extend my continued gratitude to the trustees who continue to advocate for safe and stable schools for students, trustees Hernandez, Inyana, and Gonzalez-Oy. Prior to the strike, I was seriously contemplating whether this would be my last year in West Contra Costa. And while there is still a ways to go, I'm immensely proud and pleased by the gains that were won in our tentative agreement. It is enough to keep me here another year. I know I'm not the only one, which is why it's crucial that the tentative agreement gets ratified tonight so that we can get this incremental step toward progress started as soon as possible. If the district needs to reconsider their spending to accommodate our new contract, I beg that if any cuts are made, that they do not directly affect students and educator positions, and instead look to reducing or eliminating costly contracted private agencies instead. It'd be a shame to take these steps forward, all to have them taken back again. The district staff who has led us to the strike, prolonged the TA ratification, and are threatening budget cuts work for the school board, not the other way around. We encourage and expect the board to continue to prioritize students, not the agenda of district staff. Thank you for your time.
Hello, board trustees. It's delightful to speak to you again and again. I am also here to ask everyone to please ratify our tentative agreement. I am asking that this tentative agreement be ratified when our contract period is over 30% done. If I came to work 30% late, I would come in at 10:30 in the morning. 30% of the school year is directly after the Thanksgiving break. That is a long time to ask people that you respect to work without a contract. That is a long time to ask people that you respect to trust you, especially when we are not seeing fast action back on behalf of leadership. Bargaining stayed late. Bargaining worked extra hours. I only have to work 12 extra hours by my contract, and bargaining covered that and more. I think I covered it for 3 years last year. We put this work in, teachers and community and students critically, board members who were supportive and some leadership who were supportive, put this work in. Please do not disrespect the work that your community has put in by threatening a community that came together with more cuts after they told you what they needed. Again, I feel that there is real support on this board, and I hope very much that there is real support in leadership. If you respect us, please honor this TA, definitely honor the TA of the Teamsters. And then when you are thinking about the budget, which is a harder job than I want to do, please make sure that you do not take it out on our students. Thank you.
The next three people, please line up. Yoon Sang, Priscilla Lau, and Sarah Hilligas.
Good evening. My name is Priscilla Lau. I'm a parent of a kindergarten student in the district, as well as an employee. I sent a written request for a speech and language evaluation nearly a week ago, and this is the response I've gotten.
Tell the truth. I haven't received a response yet. If cut needs to be made, let's keep any cuts away from those who work with students directly so this doesn't happen anymore. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Hilligas. I am a teacher at Mira Vista School, and I've been a proud UTM member for 30 years. I've also been a teacher in this district for 30 years, and this is the first time I have spoken at a board meeting. My first message is quite simple. Please do the right thing and approve the UTR and Teamsters TAs. It's been 6 weeks since all of that hard work was done between the district and the unions. The time is now. The second thing I would like to just say is that you need to be careful in your messaging to the community. Stop scapegoating teachers and Teamsters for your financial woes. Legally, you're required to have a budget that shows that 55% of it is for employees' salaries and benefits. For decades, you have been underneath the 55%. Decades. So we, your employees, are not the problem. So please stop your scapegoating. Thank you.
The next two people line up at the podium, Stephanie Garcia Avila and Eric Jepson, sorry.
Hello, my name is Stephanie Garcia Avila. I am more than proud to call Richmond my home. I was raised here and attended amazing schools like Birdie, Helms, and Richmond High, where I graduated from in 2021. I was also a student trustee my senior year, so I know this district uniquely well. When I look back, all the good memories are filled with the teachers that raised me, fed me, and pushed me to be the person I am today. Today, I'm a first year, first grade dual immersion teacher at Lincoln Elementary. My dream has always been to give back to my community, and I'm doing that. But it is not easy, especially when you don't feel like the district is prioritizing you or the needs of your students. When I was a student, I always wondered why my teachers never stayed for long. Now, as a teacher, it's clear. I want to stay here. I want to teach in the district that I learned and grew up in. I want to continue to support my students that mean so much to me. But none of that can happen unless the board prioritizes attracting and retaining permanent credentialed staff, which is why I urge you to ratify UTR's TA tonight. Thank you.
There are many things I would like to be here to talk to the board about today. Great first day of the new semester. Very happy about that. We just heard how the FCC is poised to shut down our radio station in February, but I understand Dr. Forrest has a plan. We have local experts willing to volunteer, as we heard about, feeling good about that. I have some ideas for how we could solve our high school elective problems, which is not enough electives, not too few, or the other way around. You know what I mean? The problem is right now we have 9 TAs in a single classroom with nothing to do while a teacher's teaching 35. That's not tenable. But like everybody else here, what I'm actually here to talk about today, instead of all the interesting productive things we could be talking about, is the agreement with the teachers. It's not what I'd like to be here for, but Dr. Cotton, instead of engaging productively with the new agreement, has instead spent a month mongering fear, insisting that the one thing the district cannot possibly do is provide teachers to its students. During the strike, the people of West Contra Costa spoke clearly. They are tired of this lazy argument. Now, the people, remember, choose the board, and the board chooses the superintendent. And so the people are Dr. Cotton's boss's boss. Normally, when you refuse to do what your boss's boss tells you to do, you are not long for that job. If Dr. Cotton, who's rather expensive, lacks the creativity, the skill, the experience, and the drive to do what her boss's bosses, the people of West Contra Costa, have told her to do, perhaps she should resign. No.
That concludes public comment.
Thank you to everyone who gave public comment tonight. We're moving on to item 8, standing reports. Do we have, are there any standing reports tonight?
ASAT, Salon Harrison, would you be doing a standing report? Salon Harrison, can you unmute yourself?
Okay, well, seeing that we have no signups for tonight's standing reports, we'll move on to, okay, UTR. Can we
Sorry.
get our stand?
President, would it be helpful also to see if any of the chairs of the committees, if they have a report tonight, if they could at least raise their hand on the chat so that we know? Because we didn't get a notification about.
Can you repeat that?
Sorry, if chairs of committees could raise their hand on the chat to let us know if they do have a comment for the reports, that'd be really helpful. Thank you.
And we apologize, UTR, come up to the podium.
Good evening, Board. I'm Gabby Micheletti. I'm Vice President, so I'm covering for Francisco tonight. For those of you who attended the district lecturing sessions last week, I have some context that was very intentionally left out, despite the superintendent sharing at the beginning that the information shared was in the interest of everyone having context. We know 105 million is being repeated. This number is over 3 years. Even if we assume that we'll have less income than in the last 4 years, over that same 3-year period, the district will have around 1.5 billion in income. If we divide the cost of these tentative agreements that give raises and healthcare improvements to UTR and Teamsters, yes, but admin has been a lot quieter about how SSA, WCCAA, and unrepresented management, including the superintendent, are also getting those healthcare improvements and many salary increases. 105 million divided by $1.5 billion means that these TAs are only about 7% of the budget. We're at a critical decision point for the future of the students of West Contra Costa. These tentative agreements before you tonight provide a roadmap to staff schools and ensure that students' needs are being met. However, turning around and immediately taking a knife to the staff who are willing to work here does not build stability. I am glad that the board majority has pushed for an equity report because the plans as presented last week seemed more about punishing labor for exercising our power to fight for change rather than being student-centered. Speaking of punishment, in my 10 years here, I have not experienced students receiving truancy letters, even when they have missed more than 20% of the school year. Suddenly, we're getting screenshots and questions from parents whose students were reported truant for not crossing our picket lines in December, who otherwise have no issues with attendance. It is unconscionable at a time when there is so much additional fear surrounding law enforcement and systems in light of what is happening in Minneapolis to be threatening parents in this way. We should instead be ensuring that we are to school who need support in getting basics such as food. The governor has announced the highest education budget in state history, while you are being told to cut staffing to the bone, but not make any plans to rein in spending on contractors, where budgets are continually overrun by tens of millions of dollars. 22 billion more for education, but you are being told we simply can't afford to educate our students or provide them with the same opportunities that nearby school districts can. These plans create a race to the bottom. Students are not excited to come to schools where there are no arts, electives, or classes, where students who might not be the most engaged in classic academic subjects might find success and joy. We continuously hear blame on students and families for low attendance rates without reflection on the ways in which district leadership is disincentivizing attendance. I am grateful for this board majority and the student trustees for standing up and being bold in creating a student-centered budget. And I hope you will continue to be courageous in pushing back against austerity and be more solutions-oriented. For example, we haven't heard anything about gearing up to renew Measure T or the district doing anything to support the effort to renew Prop 55. All we hear about is cuts and problems, but not solutions to bring in more funding to create the schools our students deserve. Let's buckle down and make sure that we're remembering that at the heart of all this are 25,000 students deeply impacted by every decision made here, and that the ultimate goal is to set them up for success. Thank you.
Seeing no other hands on Zoom, I want to thank everyone who gave their standing reports tonight. And we'll move on to agenda review and adoption. Does the board have anything that they would like to adjust on the agenda? Okay, seeing no objections, we will proceed with the agenda as published. Moving on to item 10, approval of minutes, joint CBOC with WCC USD board meeting of November 12th, regular meeting of November 19th, December 10th, regular and special meeting of December 17th, January 9th, 2026 special meeting. Does anyone have any correction to these minutes? Okay, we will accept them then as presented. Moving on to item 11, resolution 2526-49, recognition of Fred T. Korematsu Day, January 30th, 2026. And I think this is Rochelle Forrest's item.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Board, Superintendent, staff, and community. Now therefore be it resolved that the West Contra Costa Unified School District Board of Education salute the legacy of Fred Toyosaburo Korematsu and designate January 30th, 2026 as Fred Korematsu Day.
Do we have any questions from the board? Do we have a motion?
President Yana, I move that we approve resolution 2526-49 recognizing Fred Korematsu Day, January 30th, 2026.
I'll second. So we have a motion by Gonzalez Hoy, seconded by Enyana for resolution 2526-49, the recognition of Fred T. Korematsu Day, January 30th of 2026. Take a roll call. Student trustee Brooke Miles,
Yes.
student trustee Han,
Yes.
trustee Reckler,
Reckler, yes.
trustee Smith Folds,
Smith Folds, yes.
trustee Gonzalez Hoy,
Yes.
trustee Hernandez,
Yes.
and trustee Enyana. This motion passes. Moving on to item 12, resolution 2526-50, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service. And this is Rochelle's item again.
Thank you. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education and the West Contra Costa Unified School District recognize Monday, January 19th, 2026 as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service and encourage all schools to commemorate this occasion with appropriate instructional activities.
Okay, do we have any comments on this item? Any questions? Okay, do we have a motion?
President Yana, I'll move resolution number 2526-50, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service, January 19th, 2026.
I'll second the motion. So this resolution 2526-50, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service, moved by Gonzalez Hoy, second by Enyana. Trustee Miles,
Yes.
student trustee Han,
Yes.
trustee Reckler,
Reckler, yes.
trustee Smith Folds,
Smith Folds, yes.
trustee Gonzalez Hoy,
Yes.
trustee Hernandez,
Yes.
trustee Enyana. This motion passes. Moving now on to consent items. We are up to item C, consent items. Does any board member wish to pull from the consent item for discussion for later on in the evening? Okay, so we will accept the consent items as posted. Moving on to item D, Superintendent Communication, Superintendent Cotton, this is your item.
Thank you, Board President. I'll let that come up on the screen. Okay, thank you. Next slide, please. So tonight we are addressing an important topic. We are looking at our tentative agreements, and we are also balancing that with the importance of fiscal solvency. We've recently hosted 2 community meeting listening sessions on January 14th and 15th, where our district leadership engaged with over 200 attendees, both online and in person, including family, staff, and community partners. These listening sessions were crucial in hearing next steps and timelines for our tentative agreements with both UTR as well as our Teamsters. We believe that transparency and collaboration is key as we move forward with this process. We've also engaged with the DLCAP and ASAT groups as well to gather important feedback. I do want to lift up that your input is invaluable, and there's still time to share your thoughts. Please visit our website at www.wccusd.net or using the QR code here on the screen to provide some feedback as well. Together, we are shaping the future of our district. We are redesigning, reimagining, and moving forward to consider what West Contra Costa can be for our future. Next slide, please. I do want to lift up again for some of the community feedback, and we'll have more to report on, but some of the immediate topics, that there were some key themes that were heard. Some of those themes included a broad acknowledgement that we are going to have to do some redesigning, and some reductions are necessary and unavoidable. Our respondents consistently value transparency and early communication. And across our roles, there's an openness to redesign where decisions are clearly connected to long-term sustainability, equity, and student experience. So again, some of the key points: clarity and predictability, protecting our student programs, as well as redesigning for sustainability. Next slide, please. So our next steps through this process. First, January 9th, the board did approve a resolution that identified some of the deficiencies that we were having for 25-26 that we've identified through our multi-year projections, as well as considering some budget reductions and revenue enhancements to consider as we move forward with potentially moving forward with our TAs. On January 12th, the district did submit a disclosure form to the County Office of Education. It's called an AB 1200 form. That has gone out, and we actually did receive feedback from the county office today regarding that process. On January 21st, which is tonight, we are presenting the agreements for ratification for the board to consider. We are looking at, again, with this process, considering long-term fiscal planning. Next slide, please. I did want to speak to the attendance notice that was lifted up. So some families have received an automated attendance letter stemming from December during the work stoppage. And so after a student may have reached 3 or more unexcused absences, in alignment with California Ed Code requirements, those notices are served as a standard and supportive communication intended to keep schools connected with families and ensure students have access to resources that promote consistent attendance and academic success. These letters, issued within 6 weeks of the absence, are informational only. They do not result in penalties, nor enforcement actions, nor disciplinary consequences. So there's nothing to do at this time. But again, we are required both through California Ed Code as well as the California Department of Education to notify families of when absences have reached 3 or more. Next slide, please. On Monday, January 19th, and thank you for the resolution, Director Forrest, we did celebrate Dr. King's birthday. I have attended many of those 37 years of the MLK Day celebration for the city of El Cerrito. This year's theme was Mission 2 Possible, building community and uniting a nation the nonviolent way. I was able to provide the keynote address for the rally following a parade. The parade had community members gathering. They met at City Hall and marched to the high school. The community parade included students from Perry's and Harding, as well as students from all across the district and outside communities as well that came to celebrate with us. It concluded again at El Cerrito High School. The keynote that I provided really focused in on the importance of service, justice, nonviolence, and really a focus on civic learning for our students. It was also a celebration of the collective strength of our community, which is committed to belonging and positive action. Next slide, please. So as we spotlight our schools, next slide, I do want to lift up that we had a wonderful community celebration on January 15th at Lake Elementary School. It was the ribbon cutting, although I think we already cut a ribbon for them, but acknowledging both the hard work and the partnership between both the school district as well as the city of San Pablo. I want to thank our board president and board president Inyana and trustee Hernandez for being present and sharing some words. But we had a wonderful opportunity for students to serve as our tour guides and kind of lift up the event. And I think that was, for me, my favorite part for the kids when their presentation. I'm sorry. Let me go back. Thank you. Thank you, Board President Inyana. Thank you, Trustee Hernandez. And thank you, Trustee Smith Bowles, for your presence, for being there and just being a part of this this community. Again, going back to Martin Luther King Jr., that celebration, and for all of our celebrations, it's important. Don't just show up for your kids and show up for your school, show up for all of us. And that is key. And I really appreciate everyone's presence at that event. Next slide, please. We also want to recognize one of our principals. Our principal, Bill Johnson from Greenwood Academy, received a Golden State Warriors recognition. He was acknowledged for being an impact warrior, and we just appreciate Mr. Johnson and all of the good work that he has done and his service to our community over the many years. But thank you very much and thank you for your service, Mr. Johnson, and congratulations on that awesome award. Great picture. We also want to lift up and acknowledge our middle school basketball teams. They came together on January 7th. We had both the basketball teams as well as their cheer teams. Stewart played Perry's and Montalban played Dijon, and everyone had an outstanding time. So thank you for that. And we look forward to other ways that our communities can come together, celebrate our students, and again, the importance of health and caring for ourselves as well. I also want to lift up that we haven't been back together since December 17th. It's been a long time. And so I just wanted to lift up a few of the holiday events that happened since we came together last. One is Santa visited Chavez Elementary School, and that was a beautiful event where students received toys and gifts. Santa's elves were working really hard, many of them coming from our business services office that made sure that those students got exactly what they were asking Santa for. It was a very sweet event. I also was able to participate in the Contra Costa Youth Services Bureau support for Stige, where they gave students books and hot cocoa and cookies, and they had a chance to meet with Mr. and Mrs. Claus as well. We also and during that event, it was wonderful with community partners who were there, including a picture of our new Richmond Police Chief, Timothy Simmons. So it was great to see him there. He has a swearing in happening next week. for his new role. And then finally, we also celebrated our Kwanzaa celebration. And I want to acknowledge all of our board members were on that call. And I really appreciate the support and the interest and engagement in understanding and learning about Kwanzaa, as well as the principles that it carries. So thank you for participating in all of those community celebrations. In addition, we've had a chance to I've had a chance to get out with some school visits last week at Shannon and Hannah, well, before the break, Hannah Ranch. But last week, Shannon and Neestrom Elementary Schools. We also had a very powerful principals meeting last week where we were able to just connect and learn and grow, talking about math, talking about literacy, focusing in on attendance, all of the key parts that are important for our students and our staff. We were able to support our principals who serve as instructional leaders in those communities. Next slide. Also, networking is always important. Had a chance to connect and just build new opportunities with some superintendents from across our region, as well as participating in a community event called Sisters Speak, where I was able to talk about being an educational leader in this day and age. Next slide, please. So what's coming up? We just had the ribbon cutting where we completed work at Lake Elementary School. We are now moving to a groundbreaking ceremony at Stige Elementary School tomorrow at 4 p.m. We invite the community to come out and join us. It will be a day where we are, again, redesigning and reimagining what can be. And I'm so excited about the Stige project. Right now, we are kind of starting from a blank canvas. If you have driven down Potrero recently, you will see that there is literally nothing there, but there will be a vibrant, beautiful school soon. So we're looking forward to that work. The plan for completion is fall of 2027 for Stige rebuild. Next slide, please. We're also preparing for on Saturday, January 24th from 10 to 1. We are working with Go Public Schools, Richmond Promise, and Enroll West Contra Costa for an education fair. That will be happening again from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. here at DeJohn Middle School. So we encourage the community to come out and join us. I also wanted, next slide, please. Also wanted to lift up more winter performances are happening between now and through February. So we encourage folks to come out and celebrate at Michelle Obama. We have our East Bay Center for Performing Arts music showcase happening. Korematsu has a jazz festival. Hercules will be participating in the Ed Fair and performing there. Neestrom also with an East Bay Center Performing Arts music showcase. Again, more jazz for Korematsu, a dance showcase at King Elementary School. We encourage everyone, not just because it's your school or your child, we encourage everyone to come out and show up and support our students. We also have upcoming our science fair. Our science and engineering fair is happening at De Anza High School in the theater on February 12th at 6 p.m. We encourage families to come out and celebrate. Judging will take place on February 10th, and then the event will be hosted on February 12th. So we encourage, again, students to make sure they're ready with their amazing science fair projects. Next slide, please. It's also time to enroll for the 26-27 school year. This is just for new families enrolling right now. The enrollment period began on January 20th and will continue through, the enrollment period started January 20th. Our transfer enrollment, so if you're looking to transfer to another site, that priority enrollment is happening now, started January 20th and going through February 27th. So we encourage folks, if you are looking either for transfer or new families in the area, please consider registering as early as possible. Thank you. And then 2 more slides. Don't forget to enroll for preschool. You can enroll for preschool today for ages 3 through 5. We are enrolling in our West Contra Costa preschools. And then there are lots of ways to get involved. We encourage folks to join a committee, join the conversation, and be a part of helping to lift up the students and our staff and our community here in West Contra Costa. Last slide. 1 and 2. Next one. Any questions?
Trustee Regler?
Thank you. Thank you for the report. I have two things.
Yes.
The first, on the truancy letters, have they always been mailed? And it's just people that have never gotten them before that are surprised, or is it a new process altogether?
It is not a new process at all. I think that they have been mailed. They've always been sent to families. I think because of the volume, because of the work stoppage, folks are getting them now, and it usually comes in 6-week windows. And so this is about 6 weeks after the strike ended. It's not new, but it's a process that we are required, again, by Ed Code to move forward with. We will be getting information out to families, letting them know what this means. Again, for the most part, it's informational. As if there are additional absences that for some families, may raise a red flag and a concern. And we have resources and supports for families if they do need some assistance around absences, dealing with absences, chronic absenteeism, and all of that. So it's not new.
Great. Thank you for that explanation.
And let me add this, there are opportunities for attendance recovery. There's opportunities for independent study that could address those absences if families are interested.
And communication,
we'll be getting all that out.
Okay.
Yes.
And then on the science fair, so last year there was a gathering of all the students across the district at the ECHS Little Gym. And it was like a daytime event, which was kind of open to staff, and I went. Is that happening this year too? Aside from the award night?
I'm not aware of that. I know that projects are due on the 6th, that judging happens on the 10th, and that awards are given on the 12th. I'm not sure what happened last year. I wasn't here. I'm sorry. Let me ask, Catherine, do you have any recollection of talking about science fair in terms of what happened last year versus what's happening this year?
Yes, so we do have, and good evening, President Enyana, Clerk Gonzalez Hoy, members of the board. We do have a science fair planned. I don't have the dates in front of me, so I'll be sure to make sure that we provide it for our superintendent's report next week.
Okay.
Great. And what I'm really interested in is that if they're having that daytime event where they got all the kids together, first I recommend that because the kids got to see other kids' projects from different schools. And so it was like, oh, these are what other people are working on in other schools. But just for people to go and see, so it was amazing. It was a really amazing event. So if it's happening, I'd just like to know so I could arrange my schedule to try and pop in.
I will get that information and share that with the board. Any other questions? Yes.
Sure.
As for where you find the information on the science fair, I'm on the science fair side of the website, and the registration link is from 2025, so I don't know how to enter. Is there
It may be from
something-
20, and that's my question, maybe from 2025 because folks have been signing up since last month.
This says January 23rd of 2025, so
Oh.
I don't think so. Do we know something about that?
Do I know something about it?
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't, but we can get
Okay.
more information to make sure this
Um,
information is updated.
okay.
And I'm wondering if on the, I'm not going to ask you to do Rosa, if you could pull that back up again, but there is a QR code. Is that QR code up to date, Rachel? Yes, the QR code is up to date. I do want to add, the February 10th is the day of the judging. It is on the district's big events calendar. It is open to the public, and this is an opportunity, even though it's the judges are going around looking at all of the projects, the community is also free to attend on February 10th to see all of the projects. So February 10th. And then February 12th will be the ceremony. So again, there's a live link that's available and will be coming out on Friday in our newsletter. We can definitely update if that information is outdated on the website. We can definitely make sure that that is updated. And it sounds like looking at Trustee Reckler, February 10th would be a community, so we need to lift that up as well. Thank you. Any other questions?
I have a question around the winter performances. So I know you're inviting people out and notice that some of the performances are during, I want to assume school hours. I know I see some on the weekend. So are those open to community school?
As soon as they are submitting their Verkada and putting in their information and getting a badge, absolutely.
Okay.
So going through those safety procedures to join and visit, absolutely.
Okay, thank
These are
you.
open to the public. Any other questions?
Well, thank you for your report, and for the information, your presentation, like always. We'll move on to item E1, student discipline. So in closed session, we received information pertaining to the recommended readmission of student case number 242501. Is there a motion to approve the recommended to readmit student case number 242501?
I'll go ahead.
President Yana, I'll move we accept the stipulated readmission case number 242501 and accepted with the recommendations.
And I'll second that.
So we have, it's been moved by Hoy, second by Reckler. Let's go to the vote. Miles, Trustee Miles,
Yes.
Trustee Han,
Yes.
Trustee Reckler,
Reckler, yes.
Trustee Smith Folds,
Smith Folds, yes.
Trustee Gonzalez Hoy,
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez,
Yes.
and Trustee Anyana is a yes. In closed session, we received information pertaining to the recommended stipulated expulsion of student case number 252604. Is there a motion to approve the recommended to stipulated expulsion student case number 252604?
President Yana, are you okay if I move all four at once? So I can move that we accept the stipulated expulsions for case number 252604, 252605, 252606, and 252607.
Reckler will second.
They're all different.
Okay, sorry. I take back my motion. I'll just do one at a time. I move that we, sorry, Trustee Reckler, I'll move back. I move that we accept the stipulated expulsion for case number 252604.
I'll second that one.
So we have a move by Gonzalez Hoy, second by Reckler for 252604 on the stipulated expulsion. Trustee Miles,
No.
Trustee Han,
No.
Trustee Reckler,
Yes.
Trustee Smith Fold,
Smith Folds, yes.
Trustee Gonzalez Hoy,
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez,
Yes.
and Trustee Indiana is a yes. In closed session, we received information pertaining to the recommended expulsion of case number 25605. Is there a motion to approve the recommendation to expulsion for student case number 25605 2605.
I'll go ahead and move 252605.
I'll second.
So 252605 has been moved by Regler, seconded by Gonzalez Hoy. Moving on to the vote, trustee Miles,
No.
trustee Han,
No.
trustee Regler,
Reckler, yes.
trustee Smith Folds,
Smith Folds, yes.
trustee Gonzalez Hoy,
Yes.
trustee Hernandez,
Yes.
and trustee Anyana is a yes. Moving in closed session, we received information pertaining to the recommended stipulated expulsion of student case number 252606. Is there a motion to approve the recommended to stipulated expulsion of student case number 252606?
President, I move that we approve the stipulated expulsion for case 252606.
I second.
We've been moved by Gonzalez Hoy, seconded by trustee Hernandez. Moving on to the vote, trustee Miles,
Yes.
trustee Han,
Yes.
trustee Regler,
Reckler, yes.
trustee Smith Folds,
Smith Folds, yes.
trustee Gonzalez Hoy,
Yes.
trustee Hernandez,
Yes.
trustee Anyana is a yes. Now moving in closed session, we received information pertaining to the recommended suspension of enforcement of expulsion of student case number 252607. Is there a motion to approve the recommendation to suspend enforcement of expulsion, student case number 252607?
Sorry, President, I was writing it. I move that we approve the suspension of enforcement of the expulsion in case number 252607.
Reckler will second.
Moved by Gonzalez Hoy, seconded by Regler. Trustee Miles,
Yes.
trustee Han,
I abstain.
trustee Regler,
Reckler, yes.
trustee Smith Folds,
Smith Folds, yes.
trustee Gonzalez Hoy,
Yes.
trustee Hernandez,
Yes.
and Anyana's a yes. Now we'll move on to item E2, accept AB 1200 disclosure and ratify tentative agreement between WCC USD and employee labor groups. Is there a motion to ratify the 2025-2026 assessor agreement with Teamsters Local 856 and accept the AB 1200 disclosures?
President, I move that we approve the ratification of the 25-26 assessor agreement with Teamsters Local 856 and the approval or acceptance of the AB 1200 disclosure.
I second.
So we have a motion by Gonzalez Hoy, second by trustee Hernandez. Moving on to the vote. Okay, well, moving on to, I'm sorry. Moving on to board questions. Do we have any questions from the board?
Point of order, is there any presentation from staff at all? No, okay.
So moving on to public comment.
Our public comment is Mark Mitchell.
In public comment for the UTR tentative agreement. Is this the Teamster agreement? So could I just wait till the UTR agreement is on? Thank you.
So do we have any board comments on this? Trustee Regler?
Thank you. I'm going to make the comment now for all the tentative agreements. I want to be clear that my vote is not a reflection of what staff deserves at all. It is important to state this plainly and clearly. Competitive compensation matters. Working conditions matter. The discussion is about what can be afforded, and I am deeply concerned that the school district does not have the resources to sustain this agreement, any of the agreements, and there will be very real and direct impacts to schools, classrooms, staff, and students. The district is looking at real cuts, possible 10% cut to staff, possible elimination of centrally funded elementary music, possible elimination of 7th and 8th grades and K-8s. The caller that called in about the schedules, yes. Some of it, all of it, more, yes. There will be effects to students, staff, classrooms. The district will exhaust Fund 17 and is now proposing to access employee retirement funds, Fund 71, without a defined repayment plan. Absent a clear plan for reimbursement for retirees, this action cannot be reasonably characterized as borrowing. Further, the plans presented so far do not include revenue enhancement strategies or programs. As a board member, I have a fiduciary responsibility to safeguard the long-term financial stability of this district. And while I'm willing to accept a reasonable level of risk, a plan requiring a projected $127 million in cuts through June 2028 exceeds what I believe is sustainable and what I can live with. My decision will not be popular, and I'm sure I'll headline UTR's next weekly email. My decision is grounded in fiscal stewardship and concern for the long-term health of students, staff, and the district as a whole. There are other paths forward that would still be lucrative for employees and more financially achievable for the district. Those paths should be pursued, and as a result, regretfully, my vote is no.
Do we have any additional board comments? Trustee Smith Folds.
I think that we can say without a doubt that it's going to be hard to afford all of these TAs. I think that it's more likely that we can afford the Teamsters TA. I also think that the Teamsters year after year after year have people that are let go on the March 15th notice. I think Teamsters did, according to the reports that we got, a real steady part of negotiation. It was a back and forth, and it was tense, but it also came to a conclusion that both sides can live with. I will reserve my comments for the UTR when we get to that. I am complete.
Trustee Gonzalez Hoy.
Thank you, President Yana. I know that getting to this point has not been easy whatsoever. I believe that these agreements represent compromise, hard conversations, and months of work or sacrifice by educators, labor leaders, district staff, and this board. No one came into this process to win. We came in to stabilize our district and protect our students long term. I want to be clear, our educators, classified staff, and our site administrators are not the reason we are in the current financial position we have shared with the community. They show up every day for our students, often with fewer resources and lower pay than neighboring districts. And they deserve respect and our support for that commitment. In my opinion, we cannot put students first without supporting our staff. The incredible stories I heard during the strike from families and staff were moving, and I can see the love everyone has for our district and our students. At the same time, fiscal responsibility is not optional. It is our legal and moral obligation to ensure this district remains solvent so we can continue serving our kids, not just this year, but years in the years to come. We must come together and do that together. The votes on tentative agreements should not be the end of the work. It is the beginning of the next phase. We must now move forward together with transparency, accountability, and shared commitment to rebuilding trust, invest in our schools, and recommit our priorities. Our students are watching, our staff is watching, and tonight, I hope we show that even in difficult moments, the OCSD can choose collaboration over division and kids over politics. That is why I'm voting yes on all the TAs. Thank you.
Trustee Hernandez.
This is my comments for all of the TAs. My decisions are always centered around students and stability above all, while also being mindful of our physical stability of our district.
These agreements are not the end of the fight. It's the beginning of moving forward. There's still important work ahead, and I remain committed to continuing the work with our educators, staff, and community, ensuring that all voices are seen and heard over political gain. Thank you.
Well, I guess I'll say my comments. Do you have guys have comments? Trustee Miles.
I just want to say, whatever happens, I hope we put students first always and staff.
Trustee Han.
I would like to say that out of all the resources and all the things that we get from this district, by far the most beneficial is a good teacher. And I think that we could have a really, really good teacher in the middle of nowhere with no paper and no pencils and I don't know, and they could still find a way to teach us because of how amazing the teachers that we have are. And so that for me as a student, that is the most directly beneficial thing to me.
So I'll give my comments, and I think this goes to everyone. I think, I believe that we holding our students at the center of our decision means holding those that are connecting with them day to day. That means in the classrooms, that means at the sites, our day-to-day staff. We need to support everyone to be able to support our students. I think we all want the same thing for our students. We need to ensure that they keep thriving, that they keep growing. And I think this gives us an opportunity to think outside the box. Just like we ask of our students to be, creative and really figure out how we're going to get to the next level. I think this gives us that opportunity of like, how are we going to get ourselves to the next level and stop kicking the can down the road? Because I think we've done that for many, many years. We are putting our foot down, I think, at this point and saying enough is enough. We have to make hard decisions, but I think those hard decisions also has to come at a collaboration and also the communication that we're going to have to stand hard, but, work, hand in hand, I think at the end of the day for our students. So with that being said, I am now going to move forward with the vote on the ratification for the Teamsters, and I'm going with Trustee Miles.
Yes.
Han,
Yes.
Reckler,
No.
Smith Folds,
For the Teamsters, yes.
Gonzalez Hoy,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
and then Yana's a yes. Motion passes. So we need a motion to ratify the 2025-2026 assessor agreement with UTR and accept the AB 1200 disclosure. Do we have a motion and a second?
President Yana, I move that we ratify the 25-26 assessor agreement with UTR and accept the AB 1200 disclosure.
I second that motion.
So we have a motion, by Gonzalez Hoy, second by Trustee Han. Let's move on. Do we have any public comment on this item?
Yes, Mark Mitchell.
President Yana and board, I want to put the trustees who have expressed their willingness to vote in favor of this tentative agreement. I want to put your minds at rest. Our district is in sound financial state in that we are going to receive tens of millions of more dollars next year than the district is admitting to. They're saying they're prohibited by best practices and trainings they've had, that they're not allowed to recognize the extraordinary public education budget put forward by Governor Newsom a couple of weeks ago. We have more money coming in special ed, more money coming for community schools, millions of more dollars coming to our district. In addition, the district's projections of expenditures are based on 427 employees that do not exist. They're budgeting as though those 100 teachers, 290 Teamsters, and dozens of other staff are here pulling a salary, benefits, and retirement, and they're not. It's a false number.
Your next public comment is Francisco Ortiz. Please unmute yourself.
Good evening, President Iñana, board members. I'm really at a loss for words at some of the comments that board members made earlier, really just devaluing educators and the hard work that they do on every single day, hour that they spend supporting their students and our families. And knowing that we have made a commitment to lay the foundation for stabilizing our schools, and all of the direct undermining efforts that have led up to this point is really sad to see. And we encourage and appreciate the board members who are being courageous and are saying the status quo is not working for our students, and our students are worth investing in. Our students deserve better, and we're here to deliver on that promise.
Next public comment is Christina Kuntz. Please unmute yourself.
Thank you. I second Francisco's words, and I am shocked to hear some of the feedback on agreeing for even Teamsters TA when we have members on the board who were part of the board when these actions could have been prevented. It is vital that we stop thinking in deficit. And I appreciate each one of the board members who are being courageous enough to lay the foundation for the community that we grew up in, the community that we love. And thank you for fighting for my child. Thank you for fighting for my young self from when I was a teenager. And thank you for setting the foundation. And for the student on the board, your comment almost brought me to tears. I also loved my teacher, and that is why I became one. So I hope to continue even with nothing. Thank you.
Next public comment, Jean Kinstner. Please unmute yourself.
I'm a teacher in this district, and I'm floored. Do you see me? I work so many free hours for you guys. I put my blood, sweat, and tears into my job in this community because I live far away. Do you see me? Do you value me? Or am I just like nothing? I really appreciate the board members that see me, but not the ones that don't.
That concludes public comment.
Thank you everyone for your public comment. Any further comments from the board? Trustee Smith Folds.
As your trustee, I am responsible for taking on all information and making decisions based on that information. And if there is a problem, if there is conflict, and if there's a mistake, I'm accountable. That is why it's necessary that I am meticulous about what I do and how it's done. As the community I serve, I believe that you deserve to know why I am voting the way that I am voting. I will always center students. I will not make decisions that hurt them. That is wrong. Wanting students to have classrooms with qualified teachers, that is not wrong. I am a mother with students in the district. I will not vote to decimate kids' programs when we have not fully fleshed out the impact of removing or changing those programs. That is wrong. But it goes without saying that I respect and value teachers for all that they give to students. That is not wrong. I am a teacher. Teachers deserve a living wage. Voting for our employees to have health care coverage, that is not wrong. Paying Teamsters a living wage, that is not wrong. When I volunteer in schools and when I walk into this very building, I see the hard work of our Teamsters firsthand. But I will not take $13 million away from the health care of our retirees each year for the next 3 years with no plan presented to the board to pay that money back. Their money will just be gone. That money they spent years earning and putting into this fund will just be gone. That is not the way we respect our staff. That is wrong. This budget plan will close or merge neighborhood schools without discussing the immediate consequences of transportation, which has a direct and lasting impact on our enrollment, our ADA, future budget revenue, and charter schools could benefit. And most importantly, the students who now cannot get to their local neighborhood schools. That is wrong. I will not make promises that we as a district cannot pay for. That is wrong. And I will not depend on the governor's word for money. The decision to give money is up to the state legislature and legislative analysis office. The reality is it is not up to him. Education is always underfunded, and the state is already in debt. And even if we do get money, believing that money can be used for anything other than recovery out of a $127 million deficit is not realistic, or that money will not be in grants or not be restricted. Using that money again as just one-time funds will get us back into the same situation. If we use any money given to us not to pay back Fund 71 or to put back into Fund 17, that is wrong. I will not set the district up to be taken over by the state in 3 years or less. That is wrong. Overstepping our authority as board, that is wrong. We only have one employee, the superintendent. They are the only one we evaluate. Doing other HR work, that is wrong. The board is given detailed plans and options. The board had the opportunity to speak to the district's proposals. The board sees specific information about the budget 3 years down the road. The budget plan used to pay for promises made will impact housing, transportation, neighborhoods, and the entire school ecosystem. But it was made without hearing all the voices they will impact. The entire district community deserves to be at the table, but there was no meeting with parents, principals, CBOs, teachers, SCALs, students, the community at large, and PAC members to discuss scenarios before decisions were made. There was space, time, and opportunity to have a subcommittee where you, the community, can look at the budget, district, and board priorities and have real conversations about moving forward, about what moving forward looks like. It has been done before. The majority of the board did not demand that to happen first, before board members voted to present a tentative agreement to the union. That is wrong. Board decisions are not just about the unions and the district. They are about the community. But more importantly, it's about student success and outcomes. To not center students in all decision-making, that is wrong. My job is to work for students. That means at the end of the negotiations, when these opposing sides have to come back together, I'm still there standing with students. When challenging times happen, remaining focused on students is the North Star. I can more than empathize with teachers. I am one. I can more than sympathize with Teamsters. I'm a mother with 2 children who still attend WCC USD. You have heard me for well over a year calling for collaboration where all sides sit at a budget table and prioritize. You saw me at the budget subcommittee where we allocated $14 million of savings, and you see me on the ground at schools. And many of our students do not have a choice. They do not have the choice but to attend WCC USD for their public education. They are my primary focus. This elected duty and honor goes beyond visibility and the visibility of placating and lobbying, which is what is done when your elected officials join you rather than leading you with the information that you've entrusted them to have. I have and always will champion options over single agendas, opportunities over opposition, and collaboration over control. As an elected official, I am charged through the democratic process with protecting the masses, not just my constituents and not just my colleagues. This is a difficult situation because we are not able to do it all. At these meetings, the community only sees the decisions I make and not the choices that tore me apart. I will cast a vote not against helping staff, only against how these promises will be paid for. A budget plan that I know will lead the district to changes it does not have the current infrastructure in place to protect the most vulnerable students. That is wrong. A budget plan I know will hurt the students of the district. It tears me apart that voting no on how the promises will be paid for means I am voting no to the promises made. Agreements I wholeheartedly agree with as a parent, teacher, and volunteer. I do not enjoy making this decision. We are here because we did not approach this as one unified West Contra Costa School District. Nobody wins when there is division, and the students are the ones that are hurt. When I vote, know that I'm not able to vote for what I agree with without also voting for actions that I know are wrong, impacts that I know will hurt students. I am voting against what is wrong. I'm not going to make promises we cannot pay for. This budget plan to pay for the promises made will have lasting consequences and negative impacts to our students and the whole school community. And that is wrong. I am complete.
Trustee Gonzalez Hoy.
Thank you, President Yana. I just want to start by saying that I think that for the public to know, everybody up here from staff to board, every single one of us, I believe, is here because of kids. We want to center kids. That is why I think we do this hard work. I think that is why we ran for these positions. I've gotten to know some folks on this board and staff for many years, and some I'm just starting to know, but we all center kids. The truth is, though, a strike forces us to look at what's most important in our district. And I believe our decisions are a reflection of our values. They are a reflection of our priorities. And if you were at the strike lines, if you were talking to families, I probably spoke to hundreds of educators, classified staff members, and families who talked to me about their struggle every day in their classrooms, whether it was having a speech pathologist who was giving them support online, or it was not having a teacher for multiple years in their education in our schools, or it was not getting the research and supports they need and deserve because the people serving them leave the district a few times a year. The reality is that we are in a tough place in this country, federally and in the state. Even though the governor says they're giving us more money than they were giving us, they put all these strings attached to the money. So I don't feel like our district is richer than we were 10 years ago or 6 years ago when I started on this board. But the reality is that what I learned through this strike is that it's time to do something different. Choices are hard, but this is a reflection, in my opinion, of what we care about most. I really appreciated what student trustee Han said in her comments because it's so true. Sometimes we already don't give our staff enough as it is. I always talk about it. I feel like we're always starving our schools, even when we get more money. But our employees still do the impossible with kids. Every time I go to schools, I always see teachers energized, buying their own supplies, doing amazing work every single day. And so do our classified and site administrators. This is not lobbying to politics. I don't care what anyone says. And honestly, I think it's just a scapegoat argument by those that are not willing to be courageous. This is a reflection of our values. Your vote, our vote, my vote will be a reflection of our values. I'm not saying the next few months or years will be easy, but we have to prioritize what's most important to kids, which is our staff. I'll stop there. Thank you.
Trustee Han.
I would like to say that whatever happens, we are going to see challenges. And on the student level, we could either see those challenges through instability, or we could see those challenges with people who care for us and who love us and who show that love every single day, no matter what happens. And so, of all the people, of all the possible ways we could approach these challenges as a student, I think that we should choose the path that lets our students feel loved and that gives them that level of stability. And yeah, that's what I'd like to say.
Trustee Miles.
I just want to say, especially from an alternative school perspective, you can't learn when a teacher can't teach. And so I feel like we should really make these decisions in mind that we need the teachers who can teach, or else there's no point because the students aren't learning anything. Thank you.
Trustee Hernandez.
As we've heard it from our student trustees, share that educators are essential to their success. Centering students therefore requires us to center educators as well and prioritize stability in our classroom and schools. These decisions are difficult, but it's my responsibility to ensure continuous trust and support for both students and staff in our district. And that's just my statement there.
Well, I guess I'll give my comment too before. Something I just wrote up really, really quickly. So the division is made by those who yell about being divided. Sometimes you have to do different to get different results. We have those who have sat here for many years, and those of us who have just gotten here. And I'm glad that the physical state of our district is now a priority. We cannot hide in the shadows and then only appear when it's convenient. We have to be here and stand strong and stand in the light when it's not comfortable. We have to show face and show that we can have conversations, that we are walking as one, and that we will continue to stand strong for our students, for our staff, and for this district. So now we will be moving on to this vote. Move. Trustee Miles,
Yes.
Trustee Hahn,
Yes.
Trustee Reckler,
Reckler, no.
Trustee Folds,
Smith Folds, no.
Trustee Gonzalez Hoy,
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez,
Yes.
and Trustee Anyana is a yes. So we will now be moving on to a motion to accept the AB 1200 disclosure and the Me Too clause for WCCAA and the unrepresented management. Do we have,
President Yana, I move that we approve the AB 1200 disclosure and the Me Too clause for WCCAA and unrepresented management.
I second.
so we have a motion moved by Gonzalez Hoy, second by Hernandez. Do we have any public comment on this?
We do not have public comment.
Do we have any comments from the board? Seeing none, we move on to the vote. Trustee Miles,
Yes.
Trustee Hahn,
Yes.
Trustee Reckler,
Reckler, no.
Trustee Smith Folds,
Smith Folds, no.
Trustee Gonzalez Hoy,
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez,
Yes.
and Trustee Anyana is a yes. We will now move on to a motion to accept AB 1200 disclosure and Me Too clause for SSA and confidential staff. Can I get a motion?
President Yana, I'll move that we approve the AB 1200 disclosure and the Me Too clause for SSA and confidential staff.
I second.
So we have a motion by Gonzalez Hoy, moved by Trustee Anyana. Do we have any public comment on this item?
There's no public comment.
Do I have any comments from the board? Seeing none. Gonzalez Hoy.
Thank you, President. Sorry, just very quickly, I just wanted to thank both SSA and WCCAA and unrepresented management because I know during the strike, they also stepped up in many ways, including central office to support students and families who still had to go to school, and also to support students and families and educators, classified members who were on the strike line. When going to schools, I saw principals from the school dancing and trying to support their teachers and classified. So I just wanted to give him a shout out and say thank you for stepping up.
Okay, so we'll now move on to the vote. Trustee Miles,
Yes.
trustee Han,
Yes.
trustee Reckler,
Reckler, no.
trustee Folds,
Smith Folds, no.
trustee Gonzalez Hoy,
Yes.
trustee Hernandez,
Yes.
and trustee Indiana is a yes. Motion passes. Now we'll move on to item E3. And it has been brought to my attention that, oh, hold on. Sorry. Item 3, bylaw 9250, remuneration, reimbursement, and other benefits. It has been brought to my attention that our ADA for last school year did not reach the level of 25,000 for compensation to be set at 3,000 per month as required by Education Code Section 35120. The ADA for the 2024-2025 school year was 23,113.06. Therefore, pursuant to Education Code Section 35120A4, I propose that the board policy of 9250 be revised to reflect the sum of 2,000 per month in place of the $3,000 amount. With that change, do I have a motion for approval? And do we have any public comment on this item?
Point of order. Is there questions that you will entertain?
Oh, I'm sorry. Do we have any questions from the board?
And trustee Indiana, did you want me to introduce a couple other things apart from what you shared?
Could we introduce them and then we'll move on to comments from the board?
The only thing that we wanted to add is that the reason why it's not coming for a first reading and then a second reading, in discussion with legal counsel, when we first talked about it between the superintendent, president, myself, and our CBO, we discussed that it's a change in ed code, so we almost didn't bring any change because ed code does not our policies cannot supersede ed code. So we're just gonna move forward with the change. But then in conversation with legal counsel, we decided that it'd be cleaner to also change our policy, which is why it's coming forward as it is, just for acceptance. This also follows what districts in our county have done, like Mount Diablo and other districts in in Alameda, like Oakland, where they just voted on the change in one meeting. So I just wanted to provide also that context. Thank you, President.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to comments from the board. Trustee Reckler?
I'm sorry, I still have questions. So
Questions, sorry.
if I can ask about these expenses. So it says that the board may receive a maximum of 2,000 per month. So is the board receiving 2,000 a month, or is 2,000 the maximum? So it's the difference between may and shall. Okay, because may is not a permanent change. You may not. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that I want to talk about the expenses, because then it goes on to say per month as compensation for services rendered, including $100 per month for in-district expenses. So is the board making 1,990 and the other every month is included $100 for expenses and you don't bill back? Or is the $100 a cap on expenses, meaning it could be 2,100?
Trustee Gonzalez Hoy.
Thank you, President. The reason why we wrote maximum of $2,000 is in case our ADA was to decrease. There are 3 levels on their ed code. As mentioned, above 25,000 ADA, it would be 3,000, between 24,999 and I think 10,000 is $2,000, and then below that is below $2,000. So then that way we don't have to come back to a change in case our ADA drops below 10,000, which hopefully that will never happen. But that's why that language was chosen. But the intention is that board members will be paid $2,000 a month. And then the intention as well as the $100 is taken in consideration within the $2,000, which is actually what happens now, as we get paid $824. We are not getting an additional $100. That's just understood that it's part of the $824. So that has not changed, nor would it change under this policy. As you see, there was no change there. Thank you.
And I think I would like to add to that. So we did run this through council as well today. And the wording that we used was vetted through council, and they recommended that we use the top of the line. That's what we can't make deductions per, so whatever's on there would be the maximum allowable for our board to be paid.
Okay, if I could ask another question, which is, can you just put in here that the actual ed code, if your ADA the last year was X, you get this. If your ADA is this, can you put the caps in there so then it's clear? Because it's certainly not clear now, and maybe, I don't think so, but maybe it does go up, and then you would have to revise this again if it goes up over 25, because we're right at the cusp. If that makes sense.
President, may I answer that question as well? We did discuss that. I actually had proposed to keep the 3,000 and just write the maximum, and then we would just follow ed code. Legal counsel suggested we keep this language. There is reference to the ed code, as you can see at the end of the first paragraph of the specific ed code that we're talking about. But we did ask about that, and the recommendation was to leave it as is.
Okay, thank you. I'm complete on questions.
Trustee Smith Folds.
Mr. Carter, I think this is for you, but I'm not sure. Is there a possibility to accept the language but reject the raise? Does this board have the right to accept the language, put the language in policy, but reject the raise and stay at the current money that we receive? Is that a possibility?
Yeah, based on the language, you could earn up to a maximum of $2,000. You could earn anything less than that for whatever the board agrees to.
Thank you. Is it time to may I add an additional motion or no?
There hasn't been a motion on the table. Do you want to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion that the board puts in the language but does not accept the increase in compensation.
I'm sorry, trustee. I'm sorry.
Trustee Regler.
May I just clarify that? Would you say that again?
So the motion that if it goes through the way it's written is that we would get a raise in compensation. I'm motioning that we accept the language as the lawyer has said, but we reject the raise. As a board, we can reject the raise and just keep the language in as policy. I'm complete.
President, can I ask a question?
But I do require a second to that.
Well, I'll wait after the second.
Reckler will second.
We have a motion on the board by Trustee Smith Folds, second by Reckler. Do we have any comments on this?
I have a question.
Okay, question.
Is the intention for each individual to say, I don't want the money, or is the intention of the motion to not allow any board member to take the $2,000? Because you could individually already say, I choose not to take the money.
The intention of my motion is to say that we will accept the language, but in the financial situation that we're in, I think it's absolutely ridiculous and devaluing for this board to accept a raise. So the intention is that nobody on the board accept a raise in compensation. I'm complete.
President Yana, I would like to put a second motion on the floor. My motion is just to accept the language as is. and approve the policy changes.
Second.
So now we have a second motion on the table to keep the accept language as is by Gonzalez Hoy and second by Hernandez. Do you have any comments on this motion? Trustee Reckler?
Yes, my comment is on all motions on this matter. It is critically important that we follow our own rules, policies, and procedures at a time when the rule of law is increasingly questioned. How we govern matters, process matters, trust matters. Adhering to board policy ensures transparency, fairness, and public confidence. The board sets the tone for the entire organization, and if we don't follow our own policies, we cannot reasonably expect others to do so. I'm asking that we follow Board Policy 9310, which requires 2 readings of a policy. This requirement exists to ensure board input, public engagement, and thoughtful consideration. It establishes clear guardrails for governance and is a process I think you all know I deeply value. When established policy is not followed, it undermines trust. While I recognize the volume of our own policies, and it's not possible to know them all, this one has been discussed previously, and its requirements are clear. Further, I want to figure out how I can get paid to break even. I don't need a raise, I just need to break even. So I'd like that discussed as well. Thank you.
Trustee Gonzalez Hoy?
Thank you. I want to say that I appreciate the perspective that we have a very difficult next couple years, and our financial situation is not great. With that said, the fiscal impact is really small, and I actually think that this is important because I have talked to many people who have considered running for school board, but one of the reasons that stops them from running for school board is because it pays $824 a month, and a lot of people have to work. I have a job full time, and I feel bad constantly that I'm not able to do as many site visits or attend events as other board members, or previous board members. Now, this is obviously not going to make me quit my day job, but I think that it will help recruit individuals who might be interested in running for school board in this election or future elections, who might have a part-time job or use this as a part-time job as well. I think that we might get stronger advocacy voices. And I also think that I understand that not all of us need this money, but some of us might in order to continue to advocate for kids in this form. So I think it's necessary. I think that we also need to be very careful with our privilege when we talk about whether or not we can or can't take this money, because I mean it's not very much as it is. So I do support it. I do understand the perspectives, but I do think it's important. Thank you.
Any more comments from the board? Seeing none, we'll go to the vote. Public comment.
Salon Harrison, can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, good evening, board. I would encourage y'all to keep looking at the policies the district have and making sure they're not violating other ed codes. And I see what y'all doing. I'm aware. And I don't know if this is gonna work out how y'all think it is. I don't know. But I'm here for it. And I'm asking all y'all to let the children be the center. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm complete.
Our next public comment is Jean Kinsner. Please unmute yourself.
Hello, board. I really appreciate wanting to follow rules, So stop doing the waivers and taking money out of our pockets and the aides' pockets in the classroom. Us teachers want to break even too. Honestly, you guys, in my opinion, should follow Ed Code and put that in there if that's what it says. And each one of you can choose whether or not you want to take the full amount. That's just my opinion.
That concludes public comment.
Thank you, everyone who called in for public comment. Do we have any further comments from the board? Seeing none, then we'll move on to the vote on the second motion, posted by Gonzalez Hoy, seconded by Hernandez. And I'll start with trustee Miles,
I abstain.
trustee Han,
Yes.
trustee Regler,
Reckler, no.
trustee Smith Folds,
I will not vote for a raise. It is not privilege. It is not elitist. It is leadership. I will not vote for a raise when we are in so much financial trouble. Smith Folds, no.
trustee Gonzalez Hoy,
Thank you, President. Just, you can't say no to your own raise. So, I vote yes.
trustee Hernandez,
Yes.
trustee Yana is a yes. Motion passes. So now we will move on to item F, discussion items and reports. So we are having a quarterly update on Kennedy High School modernization, Richmond High School modernization, and Stage campus replacement projects. Is there a presentation on this?
Yes, there is. Ellen Mejia Hooper is coming to the podium now.
Good evening, board, community. I'm here for one more quarterly update. So as the presentation's being pulled up, you'll notice that all three projects are very much in similar places. This is a crucial stage that often gets overlooked, but the underground utilities are really what supports the infrastructure of every school project and can have major impacts on school operation if not fully functional. I'll also put in a small plug for the staged groundbreaking, which is this Thursday at 4 o'clock. It will be held on site, but there is no on-site parking right now as the site is currently without hardscape. So if you do plan on attending the event, it will be focused on the Cypress side of the site. So street parking is available in that area around the cul-de-sac. All right, so here we are, January 21st. Next slide, please. So for the Stage Elementary School project, rebuild project, we have completed phase 0, which was the demolition part of the project. Phase 1 is what I was saying, the underground utilities and site preparation. There will be significant grading that will occur over the coming months to be able to accomplish the new grades required for the design. And phase 2 is currently in DSA, and we will hopefully get the approval sometime in summer so that we can bid that project and move straight into construction after the utility work is complete. Next slide. As a reminder, this is what the new design looks like. We are looking from the Cypress side across the site. We planned for a new admin, TK, library, cafeteria, and 1st through 6th classroom building, as well as a new parking and playground space. Next slide. As I reported, phase 1 is really the utility work. The mobilization started on January 12th, and we'll be installing all new undergrounds, removing the old undergrounds that are currently there. doing the grading and establishing the building pads. Completion is planned for May. Next slide. Come to the groundbreaking. Next slide. And for Richmond High School Modernization Project, next slide. We have additional phases here. So 1.1 is the initial underground work, as well as the removal of the solar. If you've driven by in the last couple days, you'll notice the solar arrays are now down, which made way for our underground utilities in earnest. So we are busy digging while the sun is out. Phase 1.2 is in DSA review. We just returned the back check comments to DSA, so they will be reviewing that second set. And we plan to bid that set, or we plan to build this section of the project this spring. Phase 2 and 3 are still under design. Next slide. As a reminder, this is the construction zone on the south side of campus. Next slide. And so the current underground work is really focused on the electrical as well as the fire, water, sewer, domestic water. And so we are finishing the install of these systems to make way for the new building and to clear existing utilities out of the way of the foundations of the new building. Next slide. Kennedy Modernization Project. Next slide. Again, we have multiple phases here. We're in phase 1.1 has been completed, which was the removal of the buildings. Phase 2 is the current underground work. Phase 1.3 is also in DSA. We're hoping for a review to be complete sometime in summer. And phase 2 and 3 are the modernizations that are currently in design. Next slide. Again, here's a reminder of where our construction zone is. Entrance to the campus is on Burke. Next slide. So the current underground works includes the demolition and structural and components for 800. Those have all been completed. We have made our connections in both Cutting Boulevard as well as 45th. So if you noticed work out in the street, we were connecting to the city infrastructure, and we're bringing that in on site. We're running new electrical services as well as our wet utilities. And along the corridor, that will be our main utility run, as well as clearing the way for the first building pad to be established, which will be Building B, which is going to be our new performing arts and cafeteria space. Next slide. Don't forget, we have the CBOC and we have space available. So if you're interested in learning more about the bond projects and the finances associated with bond projects, please apply. The QR code will lead you to the website. We encourage anybody to join. The pictures from one of our site visits, which is one of the highlights of joining the CBOC. Next slide. Thank you. And again, if you want additional information on facility projects, that QR code will lead you to the sign up for the monthly newsletters. I'm complete.
Thank you, Ellen.
Do we have any public comment on this item?
Marie, please unmute yourself.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to say this was a beautiful report. Thank you so much. I'm super excited about going to the ceremony tomorrow at Stage. Lydia she loves art. And so when I told her about how they want her to color the picture, she took great pride in coloring it. So I'm looking forward to showing her that tomorrow at the ceremony. And I just want to say thank you for all this communication on the rebuild. This is what us parents, staff, and students want: clear communication about what's going on. And the newsletter is lovely. I see it in the emails. It's sent out through Parent Square. It's also presented at the board meetings. It's very clear, easy for anyone to understand. I appreciate it. Thank you for all your help.
That concludes public comment.
Do we have any comments from the board or questions? So we'll close out the item and move on to our next item.
If I can
Which
have,
is-
oh, go ahead, sorry.
Our next item, which is F2 Board Policy 6000 Concept and Roles, and it's the first read.
Yes, thank you, Catherine. You can lead us.
Yes, thank you. Good evening again, President Yana, Clerk Gonzalez Hoy, Trustees, Superintendent Cotton, and Community. Board Policy 6000 Concepts and Roles is before you tonight for our first reading. The Governance Committee, Superintendent Cotton, Cabinet, and staff have all reviewed this policy. This Board Policy 6000 is the foundation of the 6000 series that govern instruction. It has not been updated in our district since 2007, and this revision aligns the policy to current CSBA guidance on how teaching, learning, and governance should function today. The update clarifies the distinct roles that the Board of Education, the superintendent, have within the district, and it does reinforce equitable access to high-quality core instruction for our district students. We welcome questions you have or feedback as we prepare to bring it back for a second reading.
So do we have any board questions on this item? No board question. Do we have public comment?
There's no public comment.
Okay, so we'll close out this item and then move now on to Board Policy 5123, Promotion, Acceleration, Retention, and first read as well.
Yes, thank you. This item is mine as well. And so Board Policy 5123, Promotion, Acceleration, and Retention is before you for a first reading. The same committees, both governance, superintendent, cabinet, and staff have also reviewed this policy carefully. The current version that we have was last updated in 2020, but a CSBA revision that was issued in 2019 was not incorporated at that time. And so we're taking this opportunity to update to the latest policy, education code requirements, and best practice. And I want to highlight that one important area where the policy has been intentionally tailored to our district is around grade levels for possible retention consideration. The revised policy before you emphasizes that retention in kindergarten should only occur with parental consent, and in first through third grade based on teacher recommendation. And this reflects research indicating that retention is most effective when a student is earlier in their academic experience and also tends to have less impact to social and emotional development when addressed in these early grades. And so overall, this update clarifies the expectations. It strengthens our commitment to early identification and intervention and supports a more consistent student-centered decision-making. And so we welcome any questions and feedback as we prepare to bring this back for a second reading.
Trustee Smith Folds.
So I know we talked about this, but a couple of questions have come up. Acceleration and promotion. What grades, if I am because kindergarten's not mandatory, but let's say that I am a TK parent and I am saying that my child should promote to first grade after TK. What are the grade levels for acceleration? You told us the grade level for retention. You said kindergarten can only be with the consent of the parent, and then first through third grade are teacher recommendations. So what's the same outline for promotion / acceleration?
Thank you for highlighting that. We actually specifically have questions about this frequently in TK and kindergarten, as sometimes we see students demonstrate mastery of some of the skills around letters and sounds that we learn frequently in those grade levels. However, our district recommendation is that we do not promote students in those grade levels because students learn more than standards in the classroom. They learn collaboration, they learn how to line up and cut, and many of those aspects can be missed and later show up in grade levels when we see issues happen. And so as a district, we do not suggest that promotion should be considered in the early grades, and we really discourage it. However, there's a process through a student success team where we'll have a conversation with families to be able to really gauge their development, both academically and social emotionally, to gauge whether or not a student would be ready to move up at the grade level.
Thank you. My second question is, what strategies are going to be implemented around students that are retained? Strategies around their social emotional well-being, strategies around how teachers then integrate them into the classroom because they are at a different age than their peers. What strategies are in place or will be in place to talk about that? And I'm really trying to focus on professional development with our teachers and professional development, having conversations with parents about what retention will look like and how there will be special care to their child if they are retained.
Thank you for that. And so our policy handbook that provides explanations to both our leaders and our educators about when to consider retention has a really robust element around the types of interventions that need to be in place and the communication that needs to happen and at what cadence with families as we make a plan of interventions. Retention is actually the last option, and we try to give students as much time as possible to demonstrate that they're ready to go on. Part of that might mean a plan for school, part of that might mean a plan for home, and part of that is also taken into consideration where, for example, maybe a teacher wants to keep the student in their class in the following year because they already know the family, they know exactly where students are needing to make progress. Sometimes the team might decide that it's actually better for the student to have a different experience with a different educator. And so we allow flexibility within the student success team meeting to be able to make those determinations. And of course, the best case scenario is to really put that student in a leadership role as they're doing that grade level again, so that they can really serve as a student leader in the classroom, since this is the second go at it. And so certainly we take into consideration both the social emotional needs as well as additional supports that the student might need in having a conversation about why this is happening.
Thank you. My third and final question is, can you speak to what boundaries we're putting in place, what guardrails we're putting in place when it comes to overrepresenting certain students in retaining them? Because we know that unless systems are broken, that it tends to go to it defaults, right? So I would hate for this policy to go in place and then we see an uptick in Black students being retained, an uptick in other classifications of students being retained because they now have there's now an open ability to do that. So can you speak to the guardrails around what it would look like not to have an uptick in boys being retained, not having an uptick in Black students being retained, not having an uptick in ELL students being retained? Can you speak to that, please?
Absolutely. And I appreciate you really bringing up the equity issue. This board policy actually limits the scope of what we were allowing to be retained. And so based on our last board policy, we could actually retain students in the middle school grades. And so this really limits the ability and provides those guide rails that you're talking about for retaining students to be able to make that happen in the grade levels that we know are most effective for student achievement. The other thing that's really important is we provide a lot of guidance in our retention guidebook to teachers and principals about what things need to be true and what interventions need to be true in order to actually have a student be considered for retention. So it's not just a single assessment. It's not just a single interaction with one teacher, for example. We're really looking at a holistic look at both literacy, mathematics, social, emotional, to be able to make decisions that are equity centered. And I mentioned that all of these come through my office, and we certainly look to see, is this one student in a class? Is this many students in a class, so that we can provide both support and guidance when we see that something looks off.
Thank you. I'm complete.
Any further comments from the board? Regular?
I just have a brief comment, which is this conversation and the one that we had in governance, I thought were really good and robust, and I just want to say thank you.
So without further comments, we are closing this item out. Thank you. We'll now move on to item G, comments from the Board of Education. If anyone has any comments, closing comments, we'll leave our comments for 2 minutes. Does anyone have any final comments? No final comments? No comments? Okay, well, I have a final comment. We are at pivotal moments in time where the privilege of a few has placed lives of many on hold. Our students, our hardworking families, and the dedicated staff that all have felt the weight of this moment. This has always been a collective effort carried out by both directly and indirectly, and every role matters. We are all here because we all care and because we continue to make difficult decisions that impact real people. Now it is time to rebuild, to regain trust, and strengthen our community. What we choose moving forward will define not only this moment, but the future we create together. So thank you everyone for coming out. Our next scheduled board meeting will be January 28th, 2026, right here at Dijon. Though it will most likely be a board retreat for Saturday, January 31st, location to be determined. Item I, adjournment. I am adjourning this meeting at 9:43 p.m. Have a good night, everyone.